Realism. If you're just here for one quick answer on why I think transients matter, it's realism. That's it. However, if you want to find out how and why I put short, sharp transients all over my mixes, stick around. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Inspired By. My name's Will, and I make an assortment of music under the moniker Hushchild. Okay, so if you saw my last episode on groove theory and creating a bounce, then you probably understood and probably share my passion for sound selection. I genuinely care about crafting or picking the right sounds to fit the mood, and I'm also hugely passionate about giving my sounds a sense of realism too. Now, of course, there's a lot of tools and plugins that are made to shave off any harsh transients. Even Ableton will automatically fade your samples if you didn't change your default settings. Now, these tools were created for a reason, so it's not like they're not massively helpful to our workflow, but they're not always beneficial. You'll notice this if you've ever done some synthesis and tried to create a realistic sounding instrument of your own. On the right here is a time lapse of me creating a kind of kalimba sound. And to do this, we use the Juno wave shape and the sawtooth on oscillator B. And if you adjust the envelopes, LFOs, and filter just right, you can make this kalimba sound. Alright, it's more of a pluck, but this is my point. This isn't fooling me into thinking I'm hearing a kalimba. I'm definitely hearing a synth. Let me mute everything else and show you what would make it a little bit more realistic. What we need is just a higher note in there. And we also need some noise here. And we've just got this metal tick 2 sound that comes built in with Serum. Just this little click fools the listener into thinking that's fingernails on the metallophone. Now, it's not perfect. To get it to where I would feel happy about it, I would want to add some automation, some velocities to that noise generator. However, it is a lot more realistic to the kalimba sound. This is why I wanted to create the video. We need these short, sharp transient filled with pops and clicks to fool our ears into thinking they're hearing a realistic sound from a real place with imperfections, warts and all. And you don't just need to do it with MIDI devices like Serum or Operator or Collision. You can do it with audio samples as well. Let me show you one last example and then a trick that I use to cycle through all the different transients very quickly. I've also recorded a wide range of pops and clicks, and I've left them in the description below. You can download those at my Patreon. Hopefully it'll save you some time not having to process all of these different sounds that you would record. Just before we jump into that example as well, if you've heard any of my music, you're probably familiar with how I go about releasing it, and that's through DistroKid. The reason I choose DistroKid is they make it so easy to get all of my music on all of the streaming platforms. One of the things that I love most about DistroKid is they make it so easy for collaborators to share the revenue on one track. I'm releasing a song at the end of the month with my friend Adira, and we just use the splits function to make sure that we both have 50-50 of the revenue made of that track. If you use the link in my description, you'll get 7% off your first year. It is an affiliate link, so you'll be helping support the channel. But if you invite your collaborator to the platform, they'll get 50% off. If you want to start releasing your music, make sure you visit that link. Okay, so this is just a little mock-up of a track. I've thrown together some stems from my buddy Tower's sample pack. I'll also leave that in the description below. I've just thrown some quick percussion together as well. So some claps here. We've also got a little bit of noise and some hi-hats as well. And then we've got our music layer. That's super nice, right? So the reason I'm showing you this example is I've got a kick here, something that I just brought in from Splice. It's a pretty hollow sounding kick. I know you've all heard samples like this, and it doesn't fit into the mix that well. It's both not cutting through the mix or that believable of a live kit. Have a listen. So what I like to do is just grab some kind of transient, and if I zoom in on this project, you can see that I've done it with this hi-hat sample, and the hi-hat sample was actually super long and sounded like this. I think there was even something at the front of it. And I trimmed off the beginning, and I also trimmed off the end and created a little bit of a fade. And you can see how small that tiny transient is there compared to the kick. For added realism, I've even pushed it a little bit away from that first initial hit of the kick as well, just to make sure that it is audible to the listener. I'm going to play that kick with and without that tiny little click, and you should be able to notice the difference. However, if you haven't got headphones on already, you might want to just plug them in. Here's my kick soloed, and here's my kick with that transient. Pretty obvious there when they're both soloed, but it's just enough to pull it out of the mix when I bring everything together. See what it sounds like without. See how it feels so much more empty without just that initial pop. And this is a perfect way to do it. I actually got this idea from Mr. Bill. But one of the things that I really like to do is put all of these pops and clicks, and the reason I want to give you a big folder of them today is I want to put it on a MIDI device. Just use a simpler sampler in Ableton or something like Serum. Today I'm just going to use Serum. So the reason that I'll use MIDI is, of course, if that audio sample that I've chopped up wasn't quite right, the only other option I would have is to choose another audio sample, trim it down, and follow that process again with my fingers crossed that it's the sound that I'm looking for. If I take something like Serum, like I said, you can use an Ableton sampler or whatever DAW you're using. In Serum, this is the sampler and it supports WAV formats, so you can make your own. I've got this pops and clicks folder. Like I said, there's about 20, just over 20 sounds in this folder, and I'm gonna use the sticks. So these are just drumsticks clicked together, and there's normally a couple of sounds for each of them. The second sound being slightly warmer, slightly quieter than the first sound. And with that second option here, I like the first one because it sounds a little bit more breathy. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna draw that to this grid. So I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna insert an empty MIDI track. And just here, I'm gonna hopefully position these MIDI clips in the right place. And you might want to turn that down a little bit as well. That sounds to me more like a realistic kick drum now. If I turn it off, super hollow kick, put a little bit of noise there. Now let's try that with the track, and I'll turn it on and off as well. I want to do as I said and actually cycle through these sounds. I'm going to try that stick too. That one I like much more, and I'm even going to EQ it as well because obviously the transient is unique, so there's going to be all kinds of sound in that. So you've got that low rumble there. I'm going to get rid of that. Seeing as this is a little bit more lo-fi, I'm going to kind of pick it up there to help that kick drum out. And I'm also going to roll off some of the highs to about 10K. Without. It sounds so much more empty without that initial click there. Bit of an abstract video today, guys, but if you've made it this far, please do let me know if it was helpful. Feel free to download that folder of pops and clicks and use them in your projects as well. If you make something that you're particularly proud of and want me to hear it, please do join the Discord and share your work there. We've got a great, helpful community growing there, and it's also where we hold our bi-weekly beat battles with prizes normally given out for the winners as well. It's like super fun. If you did make it this far and don't feel like commenting, please do give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it massively helps out the channel. For now, guys, I thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.